ready to take JD back on the road. With the help of the Ken's bolt-on hooks and the way safe hitch, I feel a little bit more comfortable with the way the load is squared away this time. Pretty much routine whenever we bring the tractor down to southern Ohio that I have to leave the trailer down below because it would just take up too much room up top. It's always best for me to try to get it in position for when we're going to leave while I got everything unhooked and ready to roll here. The clamp-on hitch works well because there's no load on the tractor and it doesn't take up much room. Well, hello, welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. We're down here, Karen and I and Willow. We've come down here to meet a gentleman from the county to determine the type of septic system we are going to need. Once he gets here, we'll probably talk a little bit about what he does on their end. Basically, he's going to have me dig 2 holes with JD. They need to be about 4 feet deep, somewhere in that neighborhood. I guess the more wet and clay-like the soil, the more elaborate your septic system has to be. So we've determined right now that the new place is going to go basically where the old place is. I'm going to have a question for him where I'm going to ask him, would it be more helpful to put the new place a little further up the little hillside here? And would that give us more room on this side for a leach bed for the septic system? I think the leach bed is probably going to have to get installed over there through some of that thicket area, so some of that stuff might have to come out, but we'll find all this out in a little bit, so why don't you stick around and check it out. Last time I was here, one of the water pipes was frozen. I didn't have any of the correct elbows for it. I needed a 45 for it, and I went to Home Depot and I got the only half-inch 45s that they had, and apparently I don't think they were the right size.
We have stuff for this. This one?
Yes.
I don't feel a crack. I don't see any cracks in the hose. It's just this one, I think.
See what it is?
Are these?
Yeah.
Half-inch, 90-degree elbow. Half-inch, 90-degree elbow.
The only time I've worked with PVC has been down here when the pipes have froze up. So I don't know if there's 2 types of PVC that he installed here, because there's definitely half-inch pipes, and these also say they're half-inch, but the diameter is way off. That's going to have to wait because our guy from the county just showed up. So I basically gave him what the game plan was, what we're going to be doing with the old cabin, getting rid of it, and where the new structure is going to end up going. So he picked out a spot that he felt was best for us to dig a couple holes. Now the new structure is going to be about twice as wide as the old cabin that's sitting there now, and I am assuming he picked this spot because this would probably be where the leach field would start. Now I remember my house up in northern Ohio, they did an actual perk test up there, and a perk test is basically a hole that's dug into the ground. Maybe it's 3 or 4 feet deep, cylindrical usually, and they pour a 5-gallon bucket of water in that hole, and they time how long it takes for it to drain and clear itself out. The longer it takes to drain depends on the type of septic system that they're going to recommend for you. Here, they basically just want us to dig the hole. He's going to analyze the dirt around 4 feet down, and I believe the second hole that we're going to end up having to dig will probably be kind of where he thinks the end of the leach field would be.
We don't have any groundwater in this area, but the point is that we don't want a bunch of water going into surface that doesn't have a good permeation or good. If this were all a big chunk of red clay, then we wouldn't have a good permeation of the effluent that comes out.
Okay.
So we want the soils to be able to treat that and to take care of that. So I'll go back and do some, and we'll look at another hole over here, but I'll go back and do some of the math and science of what we get to do and basically say how much distance that we put into these.
Gotcha.
For this.
So having the rocks is a good thing then.
Well, you don't want a lot of rock. It's not something that you hope for, but rocks is not always a bad. There's some old systems they used to do. They used to actually put gravel into the trenches. So I don't want to say rock's a good thing. A rock would indicate a bedrock at some point. So we try to avoid any of those kind of situations. But if the soils are nice brown crumble, not a thick, solid, hard clay that you can ribbon out, those are things that we look for in the soils for that treatment or permeation through. And you don't want too much sand because it goes through too fast. It doesn't treat. So again, there's treatment that you want to try to provide for this through the soils. That again, Noble County, we're not known for our groundwater because we only have very few spots that have groundwater, but that's the rules were meant to avoid contamination of any groundwater and any, of course, surfacing of any sewage or fluid.
The second hole is probably about 50 feet from where we dug the first one, and it's a little bit downhill.
Over here has more clay.
I can see the
So
difference
it's
in
a
the color.
difference, right? Then there's a change in the color as well. So we'll go back and look at hydraulic loading or loading rates,
Okay.
linear loading rates, and soil infiltrations with this soil. Then we'll basically draw out a design based on those rates.
Okay.
That
Does
goes
it-
back to you.
Do you think it has something to do with more vegetation in this area that makes it clay, or
Could be.
no idea?
I don't. I mean, we have all kinds of different soils. I was mentioning that you can go from one spot to another, and there's a difference in soils.
Yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately, in some places, if it's a small area and you can't find a nice place, then you end up having to put a mechanical system in that treats the effluent before it gets to the field.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to extend the field to make it longer.
Is mechanical same as nyatic, or is that?
Yeah, well, a nyatic is a type of mechanical. It would be an aeration system, potentially an aeration system that would be
Okay.
put in. Again, we try to do the best we can with absorption,
Yeah.
gravity and absorption versus anything mechanical, just
Okay.
because maintenance cost.
Because it seems like nyatics are like cheaper. Because I guess you don't have to dig up such a huge leach field with them.
Correct, but you would have less of a leaching system, but it's still, you have a mechanical device that you're having to maintain. You still have to maintain your septic system too.
Yeah. Is the mechanical device just a pump?
It would
Just
be
an
a
air
pump.
pump?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what we have at home.
Okay.
I was telling him about how our groundwater, how our pump,
You have a sump pump apparently in your
it
basement. that
runs every
you have
30
water.
minutes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing too. If it's something that once you get this knocked off, graded out where you need it to, this can change a little. I'm not saying it's going right here, but I just wanted to see what the soils look like so we can give you an idea.
Okay.
Because if there is water that comes off that hill, then you don't want it coming into your leach field. You can curtain drain it.
Yeah.
Have some kind of drain that doesn't allow.
Right.
You don't want to be treating rainwater.
No.
Or spring water, whatever's coming off your hillside.
Right.
You just want whatever's coming out of your system to go here. So.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying, would it be beneficial if it doesn't cost too much more, and this is going to be gone, to put the structure a little bit further up the hill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I should have just said that in the first place.
To have it back that way?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Only because it'll give you a little more space to work below.
Okay.
As far as a leaching area, and we always call for a backup spot
Okay.
as well, just because the soil up here may be better or worse, then we also have to have a backup area for a system that
Gotcha.
may not work.
Okay.
Possibly here already with your tank instead of out here further. So
Right,
your leaching
right,
field would
okay.
be, yeah. So
Well-
if that gets leveled off up there, then you're already down. Well, I don't have a laser, but you're down a few feet already.
Yeah.
If you level that off.
Right. Yeah.
So you're down, so you don't have to go as far.
Okay. Even take that steep part out of the driveway to
Oh,
make it
okay.
easier to make access. So
So they're going to do a lot of earth moving before they do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
They're going to widen the driveway, take out the big hill.
Yep. Right.
So he's going to go back to his office, do some figuring, come up with a diagram of what he thinks that our system is going to need, and then I will have to take that and find somebody to put our septic system in. Again, that'll probably come after most of the excavation and the foundation is in. Me personally, I did think it was going to be a lot wetter digging those holes, but that soil stayed pretty dry. Not sure what that's going to mean in the long run. I think it's a good thing. That task is taken care of, and while we got JD down here, I thought we might as well start on a little demo, just to get rid of the shrubs that are in front of the house. All right, so those evergreens are one of the first things that we put in when we bought the place, and now, well, they're going to make a nice campfire next time we're down here. Right now it's a little bit too windy to do it tonight. We're under a high wind warning until early tomorrow morning, so we're not going to light any campfires tonight. Our water is still out. I brought the wrong elbows. That pipe was not the right diameter that I thought. I thought it was a 1/2-inch pipe, but the elbows were the wrong size, so we got enough water in our little jug to last us one night. We'll be packing things up in the morning and probably just heading out of here. We might take some stuff with us that we're going to probably be pitching in the future. Try to get one load of many loads to follow. We just got to figure out a good game plan when we start taking stuff out of here. We've decided what we're keeping. We've decided what we're throwing away. We've decided what we could maybe sell. And we decided what we're going to throw on a campfire. So we have that narrowed down. But there's a lot of work ahead. I'll be waiting for the county to give me what their information is on the septic system, and then we'll start doing the next move. Right now it is mid-February. We're probably looking at taking some stuff out of the interior of the cabin in the next couple months, but I think we'll probably start demolishing the cabin depending on weather and scheduling. We're hoping to shoot for late March or early April. We'll probably do it in a couple different waves. We might start just taking off the front porch, cutting off that side of the roof, throwing a lot of that into a campfire, and we could still stay inside the cabin, and then we'll start moving inside, start tearing stuff out. We're going to try to save some of the T111, some of the other things. I need to see if I can catch my neighbor before we leave in the morning next door. They use that place basically like a satellite office for their gas wells down here. But if I can get a hold of him and we can bring the RV down sometime in April and start tearing this place down, we could set up a little base camp over there. He's got a nice little clearing behind his barn, and we could park the RV there. If I needed to come home for some reason, I could probably leave it there for a couple days and then come back here. And then just sporadically when they start working on this, I could bring the RV down. If I know they're going to be coming doing some excavation, I can come down here and meet them and just kind of video a little bit of what they're doing with the excavating part and getting ready for the foundation, stuff like that. Septic would come after the foundation and everything is in. And Karen and I went on top of the hill, and we had no luck finding any obvious springs coming out of the hillside. I know I've seen running water up there before, but with all the leaves down from the fall this time of year, it's going to be hard to find something. That's still up in the air, whether we're going to have to go with a well or not, or maybe we're going to get more water off the roof, who knows. But that's not the end of the story. On the trip home, I noticed a pretty good vibration all of a sudden just come out of nowhere as we were towing the trailer, and then I realized that there might be a flat tire somewhere. Sure enough, it looked like it was the rear tire on the trailer. We're 6 miles from the next exit. I don't have a spare, and if I did, I still wouldn't want to change it on the freeway side of the berm. Now we're a little over 18 minutes into this video, and there's a lot that I want to talk about on this subject, why I didn't have a spare, difference between the tires here, bias ply and radials. So we're going to pick this up next week, show you how we dealt with this situation, talk a little bit about trailer tires, bias ply versus radials, and did I ruin my rim? So I hate to end it here, but why don't you come back next week and check it out. But I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one is coming out. And keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody. I think it just needs a patch.